Feeling friends is this concept that I came up with laying in bed one night. I have all these close friends who have these wonderful stories that can help change the world, life experiences that can help other people believe in themselves, hold tight to their dreams and make their dreams reality. On Feeling Friends, we talk about God, we talk about love, relationships. I have celebrity friends, I have non-celebrity friends. I have church members, family members. But when you watch and listen to Feeling Friends, you will learn and you will laugh. It's a community of friends helping to build each other up. So tune in to Feeling Friends every Sunday on WHCR 90.3 FM, or you can catch me on YouTube at Feeling Friends Radio. All right, I'll see you there. WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. What's up, everybody? It's me, Phil, and I'm live back with you, my friends. I've got a great show for you today. I've got a longtime friend. I've been knowing her since I was about 18 years old. Back at Clark and Lansing University, I've got my friend Timesha Harris, author of Fun Bobbie, an author of a new great children's book, and I want everybody to get it. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my friend Timesha Harris. What's going on, sister?
Hi, Phil. How are you?
How you doing?
Listen, I'm good.
It's so good to see you.
You too. I'm so proud of you. I just want you to keep it up, and I'm so grateful and honored that you got me on here. But I'm really, really proud of you.
Listen, we've been talking about it for about a year, well, like at least 6 months. So
right.
I'm glad you're here. But shout out to you, Delta Sigma Theta. It is a Founders Day.
Look, happy Founders Day, sorors.
Happy Founders Day to all the Delta Sigma Theta members out there. Shout out to you. I got a lot of good Delta friends. So, of course, you guys know I'm an alpha. So we hold it down for our children. The ones that came after us. That's a whole other story. Don't beat me up. It's like all of that. I was like the Deltas, the Kappas, the AKs, everybody back. But I'm so happy you're here. Go ahead and tell the people who you are.
Hi, everybody. My name is Timesha Harris. I am the author of The Adventures of Fun Bobbie. I also have a publishing company called Tales of a Young Advocate. I'm a mother of two, and as Phil stated, a proud graduate of the Clark Atlanta University.
The only university in the Atlanta University Center.
Right.
Listen, I got to tell a story back in the day. Tamisha used to be in the student center. Was that your work study, right?
Oh yeah, that's why I was getting my little $7 an hour.
Was it $7 an hour?
Yes, it was.
Oh man,
that's coins too.
That's how old we are. Did you eat for free in the calf?
I did. So that Panther Paul, honey, took a sister a long way.
And shout out to Miss, who I'm thinking about, Miss Claxton.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, she was so good to us. Was she good to us?
Miss Claxton, Dean Allwood,
Dean Robb, Rick Robinson.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I forgot Dean Allwood. Yeah, Miss Whitted.
Oh my God. Very pivotal during my freshman and sophomore year. Like through my whole matriculation, actually. That Clark Atlanta word, my entire matriculation.
I think that's an HBCU.
HBCU where I didn't learn it until I graced the promenade of Clark Atlanta.
This was before we had like Google, before everybody was like,
yes.
But as you matriculate through the university, what the hell are they talking about?
Like what? Listen, and when I tell you that word has been a constant in my repertoire since.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Trust me.
And as we matriculate through this show, let's talk about how you became an author. What inspired you to become an author?
So as I stated, I am a mother of two. I have two young boys. They are now 14 and 9, Tyler and Jaden. And my children are first generation private school children in our entire family. And so I knew that was something that I wanted to strive to do and provide for my children. And once my financial status got me to a point where I could afford for them to go to private school, I was so focused on getting them into a really, really good school. And so they got into the most prestigious private school that they could get into in the Bay Area, in the Oakland Hills. That's where I'm from. Shout out Richmond. I
have family from Oakland. My grandmother actually went to Berkeley High School for a little bit.
Really? Okay, so we did a lot of track practice and stuff like at Berkeley High, but I never put my kids in Richmond schools. So but Berkeley schools were always a lot better. And so Tyler actually went to public school up until the 5th grade, and at Berkeley Public Schools at Claremont Elementary. But once I put them into private school, I was so focused on the academic pieces of it, and I looked at all the scores and all of that, did my research. I didn't think about the social aspect of it that they were going to be dealing with. And so during his 6th grade year, my oldest son, Tyler, who goes by TJ now, he actually was having some issues, and it was dealing with some microaggressions and, not
dealing with white folk.
Yes. And not necessarily blatant racism, but you know how it is now in 2018, 2019, like they real nice, nasty with it. And, he's the problem, this and that. And, so as a former teacher, as a former educator as well myself, in the inner city schools at Kennedy High School. And, I made sure that I advocate for my children all
right. You have to. And that's one thing with the parents. Let's talk. Yeah, let's keep talking, but I want you to talk about, go back to that, advocating for your children, especially when they're in school with people not like them. Yeah, go ahead.
So the reason why I started Fun Bobbie was because he came home asking questions about his blackness and why do black people do this? And because I'm black, am I allowed to do this and that and the third? Is something simple as taking a family vacation, because we travel a lot. And so he come back and talk about how he went to Florida for junior JOs for track, and we went to Orlando, and then he come back and sharing his stories about his summer. And somebody make a comment like, "Oh, black people take family vacations." What the? Yeah. What do you mean? And so
he white kids.
Yes. And so it's not like that's not crazy, but it's like you got my child questioning who he is as a black person, like he's not supposed to do the same things that you do. And I didn't know a way to really explain it to a sixth grader. He was 11 at the time. So what I did was I created this character who had dealt with a lot of these types of issues, and how he dealt with it and addressed it from his perspective, from his mindset, but also advocating for himself and speaking up for himself. So that way he would know, Tyler would know, and Jaden coming up behind him, how to speak up for themselves and answer those types of difficult questions, microaggressed, questions.
How did they feel with that? And I mean, and how do you feel as a mother? Because I'm sure you're like me. We went to black colleges. We had a black. I think we've had the full black experience. How did you feel as a mother having your kids come home tell you this? Like, what do you feel on the inside as a mother?
So, okay, I'm gonna say it again. I'm from Richmond, so I'll be ready to fight. So, working on me. So, I'm also a Christian now. So, So I know that that's not the way to do it,
Right,
so where I went to, when I was in elementary school, somebody probably get laid out for asking some stupid question like that. Yeah, however, I teach my children to lead with positive intent, not always assume that the person knows that is an offensive question.
That's good.
You educate them, you stay calm. When they go low, you go high, so that type of thing. And you learn how to use your words. Don't let anger be your only response to negativity. Let's figure out how we're going to use our words and talk about that, and let's assess our feelings. So how does that make you feel? And then once you're able to identify how it makes you feel, then you're able to articulate it to someone else, as opposed to not knowing that feeling is anger or disappointment or belittling. Pinpoint exactly how it makes you feel. Now that it makes you feel, now you let that person know, you said X, Y, and Z to me. I really didn't appreciate it, and it made me feel like this, and I would appreciate it if you didn't do that moving forward. So that's always been my response with my children, especially with them being in private school. You can't fight. You have to know how to use your words.
Especially with a black person, a black man in an all-white environment, then they'll be like, "Oh, you're the aggressor."
Already got 2 strikes. Already.
Absolutely, being a black male. Absolutely. I think that's wonderful and that's powerful. So what was it like for you growing up in Richmond? What was that experience like for you?
So Richmond is Richmond. It's the hood for sure. But I think because of my dynamic and my background, my mom divorced my dad when I was 2. She got remarried when I was I think 6 or 7. So she was a single mom for a minute, but my mom was always a hustler, always grind. But it's crime riddled, poverty, there's drugs. My brother used to sell drugs, out our house. My mom actually ended up dying from a drug overdose when I was 13. And
You know
so
what's so funny is that you post your mother. You've always posted your mother, and I never wanted to be rude and to ask what happened. I know you, and I know you miss your mother dearly.
I do. So it's been 27 years actually on January 5th. We just came up on the 27th year that she's been gone, January 5th, 1995.
Wow.
And, it just, that experience alone already kind of sets the trajectory of your life. But we was always in church. She was a functioning drug addict. So, nobody knew that she was.
Really?
I didn't, especially as a child, I didn't know. I always had the best of the best and, stayed in nice clothes and hair was always done and all of that. We went to church every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I grew up Pentecostal. Grandfather.
You one of those.
Oh yeah. Grandfather was a pastor. Uncle's a pastor. Okay. And then once my mom died, went into foster care for a split second for about 8 or 9 months. And then I ended up moving with my dad to Sacramento. And so that was a completely different living experience moving with my dad, but that was short-lived. He's never really been a part of my life like that. So he kind of comes and goes, and he's I don't know, that relationship is very strained. But growing up in Richmond, I really think it taught me resilience. It taught me how to go after what I know. I watched a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. People having babies early, people not taking their education seriously, what that looked like to be on drugs and scratching and itching, walking down the street. And, I just was like, I'm smart. I got to use my brain to get me out of here.
Absolutely.
So I definitely did that. Graduated from De Anza High School, 3.89 GPA, went on to Clark Atlanta, graduated.
Did you get a ride to Clark?
I did not. Lord Jesus. Listen, Navi and
I know like one person who got two people who got a full ride. So
never. I'm like, so to be honest, we're gonna talk about it, but I was with my high school sweetheart for, we met in 10th grade, and I had got accepted to all of these different schools. Now, mind you, my mother's deceased at this point. I'd gotten emancipated from my father by the time I was graduating. And I had applied, I got accepted to all these schools, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, Xavier, Howard. I got accepted to all these different schools. I thought, I was like, well, whatever school you want to go to, Michigan, because he played football, and I thought that he was going to go to the league. That was his, dream. So I had really literally filled out all of his college applications for him. All he had to do was get his fee waivers get his parents to do his fee waivers. And literally when I was like, okay, so where are you going to go? And he's like, oh, I didn't turn in any of them in.
Are you serious?
So he didn't go to, he went to the community college, and I didn't go to any college, and I went to community college with him because I was in love.
Oh, hell. We're going to talk about that one day. That's a whole other show. That's for a whole other day about
listen, long story short,
black women follow these men.
Listen, long story short, he broke up with me 6 months later, and I took her to Clark.
Well, then you went to Clark.
But we ended up getting back together, married. He's the father of my 2 children. Absolutely. Like the whole nine. So listen, that story is kind of crazy. Listen.
Wow.
Don't do what I did, people. Go to school. Follow your dreams.
Like women, just go, men, go to school. Leave people alone, go to school. We're going to get more into your personal life. But as you can see, Timesha, she's a wonderful person. This is how you've always been. We've always had a good time with you. But you know what? I never knew your story. I would see you every day. We saw you literally every day because I was an orientation guy at the school. Timesha at the same desk. She was working. You know, it was just a hustling thing. We were always in that student center. We were active people on campus.
All my life. Come on.
Yeah, we always went grind because I used to work in the back with Miss Whittingham. So we both had that whole grinding mentality. So I never knew. So thank you for sharing. And we're going to talk more about that. Let's talk about Fun Bobbie and these wonderful books that you have, because I want people to go out, and we have listeners who are listening on the radio because it's playing right now. How do we get these books? Let's talk about these books. Your first book let's just see all the books and hold
on. So these are I don't know if you. I'm gonna do them one at a time. So we've got Presidential Address. There's
okay. Go ahead. I was gonna put you on the screen right now. Go ahead. You can.
Okay. So there's called The Adventures of Fun Bobbie. They're available at funbobbie.com. They're also available online at walmart.com. They are Goodreads. So you can find it on Amazon. So I'm all over. Just Google Fun Bobbie and it'll funbobbie.com. I mean, The Adventures of Fun Bobbie, and it'll come up. But the first volume is Presidential Address.
Okay.
And in each of the books, they have a glossary in the back because I use SAT prep words to help our children, because I definitely feel like when they're able to articulate their feelings, they're able to get further in life. So once you have a vast vocabulary, which both of my children have, I just feel like it just gets you a lot further in life. So I use big words on purpose here, but there's a glossary in the back. And then the second volume is Mr. Officer, and it depicts Fun Bobbie getting picked up from school, getting pulled over by a police officer with his dad in the car. So kind of chronicling how that happens and how they handle that situation. Then volume 3 is called Pledge of Allegiance, and it's my ode to Colin Kaepernick. And so kind of dealing with the flag situation, kind of how that all transpires. Then there's also The Plug. And so this is about a boy with autism, and shout out Danielle Fields and my nephew Paul, just talking about what that looks like in the Black community and kind of how we handle that. And then the last one that I have available right now in my hand is Hustle and Motivate, and that is my ode to entrepreneurship and Nipsey Hussle. Right past, this was when this one came out. I also have volume 6. It's called Quarantined, and I put that out right at the start of the quarantine when we went when the world got shut down. But I don't have any available right now. They've sold out. So you can find it at funbobbie.com. Again, it's how he handles a 13-year-old's perspective. I wrote all the books, but it's how this 13-year-old is handling academics, being a straight A student. He's one of the fresh fly kids. He's got Jordans on, and he's got H&M and all of this, bags and all this kind of stuff, clothes and stuff. But he's also student council president. He's also started a track team. He's in all of these different affinity groups and these clubs. And he's just an advocate for the students. And so he's really like an anomaly, and really somebody that children can kind of look up to in terms of how to navigate in these spaces, if they're in private school or even in public school, just how to utilize your words and speak up for yourself in a positive way without fighting or, cursing and all of those things.
I love that. Do me a favor, hold up one of the books and just open it up so they can see. And this open it up for me.
So the font is big.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good size. So this age range is, what's the age range for these books?
So I started writing them when Jaden was 5. He's all about Fun Bobbie. He knows about it, but that's my son, and that's the way that I parent. The books, I would say, start reading around 6th grade, middle school.
Okay, cool. So maybe 5th to 6th, that's probably middle school. Like here in New York, some schools are 5th grade, middle school. 5th,
6th, 7th. Like I feel like even 9th grade. If you're shy and you're not really vocal and about speaking up for yourself, I think it's good fun reading. But it's also meant to have dialogue with parents, you know what I'm saying, as kids are, kind of going through that adolescent phase. Some of the words and some of the ideologies that the parents may need to explain and figure out what it really means, and that kind of thing, just to kind of have some dinner time dialogue. I think is good for parents to read it as well.
Absolutely, I absolutely love that. I think that's an amazing thing. I think you coming up with this idea just is empowering, and I hope that people can get this book. Tell people how to get this book again.
Funbobbie.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook.
So what's your name on the gram?
The Adventures of Fun Bobbie. And on Facebook, it's just Fun Bobbie. And it's Bobbie, not Bobby.
Bobbie. Bobby.
Yeah.
That's how we used to do it.
Right.
Listen, I was talking to you last night, and this is where it gets deep. People, you shared some very personal things with me. You said you didn't mind sharing today. Are you still okay with that?
Yes.
I want people to realize that there is power in everything you do. And Timesha has stepped out on faith to use her life to make sure her children are okay. Go ahead and tell the audience that story and how you got back to Atlanta, if you don't mind.
So graduated from Clark Atlanta in 2005, and went through some domestic situations with, again, my high school sweetheart. We stuck it out. We was together all throughout my undergrad career. And he didn't go to school. He just moved to Atlanta with me. And so once we had our situations, I moved back to California and left that situation. And I was in Teach for America, and I became a teacher. Long story short, we ended up getting back together, have 2 children, TJ and Jaden. We got married in 2015. And as I got older and as I continued to grow and just develop in my career, I went from teaching to going into the administration piece of education. And then now I'm in tech. I was at Twitter, and now I'm at Google. And so it's just, as my life progressed, I'm a recruiter now and I hire software engineers. As my life progressed, I realized that he was not progressing. And that ended up leading us down a different path. And I don't mind sharing this. My oldest son identifies as bisexual, and so we had some issues there with him just accepting that reality. And loved my husband, loved my family. Did not want to, leave my husband. However, my son did not handle his father not accepting that very well. And we had issues where he was contemplating suicide for a moment. And I had to really, really make a decision and say, you know what, son, I'd rather be an overprotective mother than a sorry one. And I really gave my ex-husband, soon to be ex-husband now, an opportunity to really go to counseling and, kind of really talk to God about it and sit with God about, why are you so judgmental about this? Like there's no big sin, no little sin. Like you don't have no heaven and hell to put this boy in. And this is my child. He came out of me. Like I love my son regardless, whoever he decides to love, that's not my choice to decide for him. And what my job is as his mother is to lead him and guide him so that way he is a productive citizen of society when he leaves out of my house, once he graduates and decides what he wants to do. I have no business being concerned about who he loves and who he doesn't love. Like just because I'm a heterosexual woman, that has nothing to do with me making my son feel like he's not wanted or like he's less than because of what he chooses. So we were not able to see eye to eye on that. And I made my decision. I said, okay, well, you've made your decision and I'm making mine and I'm choosing my children. So I gave him some time to figure it out and get his life on the right track so that way we could all be a happy family if we could be. And he was not able to do that. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to move on and I'm going to go to Atlanta because that's where I felt like my best self. And I'm going to go back out there and I'm going to see what life looks like for me there and possibly sell my books. And, I really want my children to be raised in the South with Southern values. And, I'll start over. I have a really big, large network of friends and family here. And so, friends that have turned family. And it has been the most rewarding decision. I can honestly say I definitely prayed on it, asked God, could I do it? Stepped out on faith. And I didn't even have a job when I moved here. I had a small savings. I was able to move here, it took us through for a year. And then, I ended up getting back into work. My children go to Woodward Academy. They go to the most prestigious private school that there is to go to here in Atlanta. And they are absolutely thriving. And I honestly say, like, I had to bet on myself. I had to bet on myself.
Let's talk more about that, betting on yourself. What does that mean, betting on yourself?
So
thank you for sharing that. And let me say this. Let me thank you for sharing that. And it's not to exploit a child. It's not to, but it's saying that you chose your child and you chose the betterment and the future of your children. And I think that is the most selfless thing you could do because you did not have a job. You had a husband, you had a house, you had everything. You were doing well. I mean, I follow you on social media. You're doing very well. So to uproot for the sake of your child, knowing that my child may harm himself because his parent who made him has an issue is a problem. But you said, I can't do this and I got to go.
Once the school called me and said he had searched this up on his computer and we talked about it and we got in therapy and I just was like, you know what? Like if there's no peace if there's no peace in our home, we're really not growing in the same direction anyway. Like, I mean, listen, I'm betting on me because at the end of the day, I know where my drive and my determination and my ambition lies. I know that my children, feed off of how I have to be okay in order for my children to be okay. And if he's not in a good mental space to even accept this reality of our son, and he's able to articulate and even share, as opposed to being afraid. Most children of our generation, they wasn't telling their parents that they felt like they liked.
You don't tell your parents nothing.
You were not saying.
You tell your parents nothing.
The fact that I have a close relationship with my son, that he was even able to share that, I had to honor that and acknowledge that. And I definitely tried, to work out. I was with my ex-husband we were together for 23 years.
That's a long time. And then you leave that old. So 23 years.
Listen, just turned 40, honey. But when I did. I turned 40 last month. But I tried. And at the end of the day, every day that went by, these children are living life, and these children, and I refuse to raise my child in trauma. I grew up in trauma. I grew up and had to deal with self-esteem issues and feeling and abandonment issues from my father, and, my mom dying at such a young age, and, being exposed to, drugs and crime. And I didn't want that for my children. And I wanted a peaceful home for them. And I knew that was possible, but I knew I had to ask for God's permission first. And so once I did that, I'm a praying woman. I don't play no games about me and God's relationship. Now I cut a fool. Now I'm not perfect. I cut some.
None of us are perfect, but
but when it comes to that relationship with God, I consult Him on everything that I do. And
the Word tells us to seek ye first the kingdom of God, His righteousness, and all these things be added unto you. So when you decide to pack your car, when you decide to do whatever, everything is already worked out because He gave you. Go do it.
And when I tell you, when I asked Him and He gave me the green light, and I'm here, I go, okay, God, you sure? Because at the same time, I'm still like, He gonna get it back together. He gonna get it right. We gonna get it back on track. And when He said, no, go. And when I tell you, from the time we touched Georgia soil, when I tell you God been opening up the floodgates of heaven for me,
come on, somebody.
Literally, I cannot. How you come out here with no job?
Oh, it was God. It's faith.
No job. Ain't wanted for nothing. I'm traveling. I mean, how these kids get into this school, and I had no job.
That is the premier school, because some of my frat brothers sent their kids. My rich frat brothers sent their kids.
Rich. This ain't rich over here.
That is, well, don't say that. You are. It's a transition.
Look, come on, it's coming. Circulating. Come on, Jesus.
It is the premier school, and it's just God. There is no explanation. I felt the same way when I lived in LA, and I hated LA so much. I just could not. I was not thriving. I was not doing well, and you could just see it on me. And I said, God, I gotta go back to New York. Something just told me, and everything. It was like everything just started happening, right? But I prayed about it. I said, I gotta go. And then when you put God first, He is real. God is real. I mean, I'm here to tell you, people listen to God is real.
Nobody else, but when I know for a fact that I've in my life, what scared or not, I did it because I knew that the end result. If when I say I bet on myself, I knew that no matter what needed to happen, I was gonna go to I'm gonna bust my butt to the white meat to make sure these two children are not wanting for anything in terms of love and care and attention and having a village around them. And when I stepped foot here in Georgia, when I tell you that village stepped up. Baby, it ain't been a day and we ain't been hungry. We got a new house. I got a new car. I got 2 new jobs. The kids are in a great school. They love it. They're thriving straight. That oldest one, 4.02 GPA. Wow. Got letters coming in from George Mason University and Notre Dame and Duke to invite them to their summer programs on that PSAT score. It's peaceful in my home. It ain't no.
And they come home, but they know that I don't have to deal with Dad, talking about me or being mad at me,
walking on eggshells and all of that. Yeah. Everybody is genuinely happy. Now, since the tide, I'm not advocating for y'all to be out here being a single mom. I had no intentions on being a single mom.
No, you didn't. Let's talk about that, because I want to say, what advice do you have for mothers or men who say, you know what, I got to get out of this relationship, I got to get my kids out of this relationship, I got to do something better for my. What advice would you have for them?
I say that, listen, our children didn't ask to be here, and we owe it to them to give them a peaceful home and a peaceful upbringing and surround them with love and care and attention and attentiveness. We got to do the work. You can't be lazy in parenting, and you might have to sacrifice for your desires and your wants and your needs for a little bit. To make sure that your legacy lives on. Like if I learned nothing else from my mother dying, even though she died in a tragic way and it was all of a sudden, she put enough in me in order for me to continue to thrive 27 years later. You know what I'm saying? I'm still, granted, God put a lot of angels in my path and a lot of people to help shepherd me along the way. But the things that she taught me were very, very integral in who I am as a person, the foundation, those formative years. And so as my children were going through those formative years and it was broken in our household, I wasn't doing them any favors by trying to stay in that relationship.
Right.
For what? And I wasn't even my best self, and I had to step outside of myself and step outside of what I want and trying to do what Timesha want to do and really say, okay, God, I didn't ask you about that relationship when I was 15, when I jumped in it. Am I even supposed to be in this?
There you go.
And so once I consulted him, I didn't necessarily get a no, you're not supposed to be in it, because if that was the case, then I wouldn't have Tyler and Jaden. And they are the pride and joy of my life. But he definitely gave me permission to move on. There's some other things that happen as like, you know what? No, you don't. I came that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. And I was not living in abundance at that time. I still cry at night. I am alone, but I'm not lonely. You know what I'm saying? So,
but it's still not that. Yeah, you have to get used, because it was 23 years.
I have to get used to it, and
it's a whole new life for you.
It's like Little Mermaid, a whole new world.
You better not give me start singing up this song. Maybe you be singing all night.
It's a whole new world. But since I moved out in 2019 and I got my own place, and then I moved here to Georgia in 2020. God has been good to me. I cannot complain. And so while I miss the companionship of, that relationship, and I'm a wife, so I'm not out here, just sleeping with whomever, just because I'm not married right now. Honey, that Boaz is going to be around the corner in a minute. So I ain't even worried about it. So I still have to conduct myself as such, which I do. And so, a lot of my friends are like, you single, you should be doing. No, that ain't how I ain't set up like that. You know what I'm saying? So I carry myself, and I have 2 boys that are watching me.
Right, that's a totally different experience for you when you see your mother being whatever. My mom wasn't like that, but I don't know. My mom was married the whole time, so I don't know.
Look, not them two.
Right.
Over here.
Well, you raise men, and the woman is kind of loose and whatever. They have a perception. That's how I'm supposed to treat women. That's how So I'm just saying. I know this from homeboys that I know. It's a whole different world. So that's good.
I'm raising sons that y'all who got young daughters at this time, y'all gonna be like, thank your mother. Yeah. Thank your mother, because I'll be on them like white on rice. And when they get out here in the workforce, they're gonna be like, oh my, because our children they're not learning. People's parents, I'm just gonna say, people been lazy with parenting. This generation.
Trust me, I work with kids. I work in the school. They are, yes.
And the apathy, as a former teacher, the apathy that I used to see in students, that comes from somewhere.
The apple does not fall far from the tree. You are who your parents are. You are exactly who your parents taught you to be.
And the Bible said, they will rise up and call you blessed. I do my job. Proverbs 31. I am that. I make sure that these kids know who God is, who they are, what their priorities are. Listen, they cook and they clean and they got their grades is on point. They respectful. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Listen, we're not playing none of them games over here. I run a tight ship, and I don't have a problem with them, nobody knowing that I run a tight ship. But they're gonna thank me. You know what I'm saying? Once it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying? Even though my mom was doing what she was doing, she ran a tight ship, and I thank her for keeping me under wraps, even in her, whatever she had going on, because it definitely set the trajectory for my life. I never really got too far off the beaten path because I just, and God ain't
I
never
never know you not to be tight. So I never know you not to be like on your stuff. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing.
That's a blessing. I love to hear that. And that's it. That at all these years I've known you, I didn't know you thought that. And I used to, and my self-esteem and my confidence has always been, I've struggled with it so long. You would never think. People wouldn't think.
No, I would never know. I would never know.
Listen.
I would never know. Well, listen, with that being said, what are your final thoughts for our audience today?
My final thoughts would be, if you're a parent, it's okay to sacrifice some of yourself. Sometimes you definitely need to take time for yourself. You know, self-care is really, really important because you have to be okay in order for them to be okay. In terms of relationships, I would say bet on yourself. As long as you know that you got your back and God got your back, you're going to always win. And I would say in terms of spirituality, do it scared. There's a such thing as a faith walk. And I'm faith walking for the rest of my life because I'm telling you, when your plans that you have for yourself are far less than what the plans are that God has for you, and you just may not know, God is heavy on the plans. He's heavy on what he's going to deliver and give to you, but he's not heavy on the details. So just because you don't know
he ain't heavy on details at all.
Listen, I'll be like, where we going? Okay, don't ask
no. You don't need all the details. He just preparing you, so you gonna be ready anyway.
So you let him prepare that table before you, and you go. You know, scared, you know, afraid, broke, as you want to call it. You know, whatever. If he called you, go.
If he calls you, go. If he calls you, go. Thank you so much, friend. Oh, I appreciate this show.
Thank
this is a
you
good
for
show.
having me.
Thank you for coming on. Hold tight in the green room for me, all right?
FunBobbie.com.
Oh, yeah. Tell people again how to go get your stuff.
FunBobbie.com. BOBBIE.
FunBobbie.com. Thank you so much, all right?
Thank you for having me.
Listen, we want to thank Timesha Harris for coming on. This is a great show, right? She told me some things that I never knew. That's a part of this show. Listen, that God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you can ask, think, or ever imagine. And guess what? Timesha told us that today. She told us she stepped out on faith. She put her kids first. She put her life first. She betted on herself. And I want you to do that. It's bet on yourself. You're listening to Phil and Friends right here on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.